right, next up, this is our new favorite feature of the webinars is we're trying to highlight a student case study each month because we feel that you get a lot out of knowing how people got interested in coding and their experience with CCO. And Boyd is going to be the interviewer and Ruth is going to be the interviewee.
Hello, Ruth. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
And are you indeed in Poughkeepsie, New York today?
That's right. That's where I
Awesome.
live. It means
Awesome.
hut by the river. We're right near the Hudson River.
Oh, awesome. And did you get affected by the weather that was recently going through the area of New York?
Not so much. I mean, we did get a lot of wind and some rain, and there was power outages, but I was not affected, fortunately. But
Well, that's great. And our of course our condolences and support to everybody who's going out there tonight, who is in those areas and might be still recovering from that. So our prayers and thoughts are with you. So Ruth, tell us a little bit about yourself and where you are in the world right now.
well, right now I work for CCO. I'm the admin specialist, but when I graduated from college, I was a computer programmer, which I did for about 12 years. And I met my husband where we worked, and we eventually had children. I have a grown daughter and a grown son, but they don't live near us. One's in New York City, one's in Colorado. And we lived, so most of my life I lived in either New York State or Pennsylvania, though I spent 2 years in Denmark, which was
Oh,
very
wow.
interesting. And when I came back from Denmark, my kids are still young, and I did work part-time, and I did find some work doing web work for people with my computer background. But my mother got very ill, and that consumed a lot of my time. And so I sort of didn't work very much. I was pretty much a stay-at-home mom and taking care of my parents. And then I got interested into holistic health counseling, which is a matter of teaching people to eat a lot of vegetables and have a good healthy diet and to exercise and to do things for their stress. But that I never really made a lot of money with, and I decided I want to do something different. But I had a lot of anatomy and physiology with that, and I decided I'd try medical coding. So that's how I got interested in medical coding.
And that was
Uh,
how long ago was that?
Not that long ago, just August 2011, I started with a course. It wasn't a very good course. It was an online course, and it just had some problems in that it was very out of date, and I found that very frustrating. Plus, there was no one to ask questions of. And so I sort of dropped it for a few months, and then I found this great company that Laureen had, and
Yay.
I was interested with videos because I thought I could maybe learn from those. End up eventually just whole uh, PBC course, the physical-based coding course, and I really liked it, and I really learned a lot from it, and so that's how I got to. In just relatively few months, I was able to go through the course and then take my CPC exam, which I passed easily. And I had done a lot of studying from the course because there's a lot of material in the course, and it was very helpful. And it was very helpful having a coach. Alicia, she was great because I always have lots of questions. I can read something and I sometimes would read things into it, or sometimes occasionally I'd find an error in the book. So I would tell her, and I wasn't really sure if it was an error, but sometimes I was right, sometimes I was wrong. But she would always explain it to me, so it was very helpful and a very great way to learn, I think.
Awesome. And so, what would you say for to the new coders that are on the call tonight? So what are the things that you learned that you took out of the course that you use, to help pass your exam? A lot of people talk about time management, those things. What are those important things for you?
Okay, well, I did use the Blitz videos, and I found the bubble and highlighting technique to be extremely useful. because I could remember what Laureen had said on the DVDs, which I was using for the Blitz, and I could remember it just by looking at a few words in my manuals and remember what she said about it. So it was very helpful just having things in bubbles, and she would compare things and just keep that straight for me, and I would be able to remember it just looking at my books. So that was very helpful. I did take some practice exams, and the one that CCO sells now is one that I took, and I also took the ones from AAPC because I figured they were writing the exam. They may have questions in the practice exams that would be similar, and I did find that to be the case. So I was glad I had done that. So as far as taking the exam, what I did was somehow I learned that there's a bunch of questions that are relatively easy. At least it would be easy for me, the anatomy and the medical terminology and some of the just coding concepts that were towards the end of the exam generally. So I flipped to those right away, and I did those because I knew I could do those fairly quickly and get them right, or I would think they'd be right. So that was very helpful. But when I was studying for the practice exams, I would keep notes on what I had missed, and lots of times it was just in general terms, and I had a whole page of read the notes with an explanation because I would miss things when I was taking the practice exams because I wasn't careful enough to look for the notes under the codes and just keep that all straight. And so when you see that as some of the things that you repeatedly did wrong, then you learn not to do that.
Right.
And occasionally I would read a question too quickly, and I would mix up the, otomy with ostomy, or different terms that are very close. And so you have to make sure that you don't do that in the exam. And if you realize you have a tendency to do that, then you can learn from it.
And we have a new course coming out, which is going to be put out by Ruth Sheets, and that will be how to pass a CPC exam Phase 2, coming out soon. Great tips, Ruth. Thank you so much for sharing that with us tonight, and thanks for being with us. And of course, if anybody wants to talk more with Ruth, she's going to be watching on Twitter, and she's also in the CCO forum, so come and join her and the rest of the team over there. So again, thanks for being with us here, Ruth, tonight.
Thanks,
oh, you're
Ruth.
welcome.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that Ruth, is downplaying her picking up on errors in the book. She found everything. And Alicia are like, oh my God, this girl is like phenomenal. So it's like she was going through the questions like with a gnat comb. She found everything. And I said, I think I should hire her. So when she was done, I asked if she wanted to work on a project, and that kind of led to some other things. So Ruth helps us out part-time, and she moderates the discussion board along with Alicia, and she when this webinar is done and we get it transcribed, she edits the transcription so that it's like as perfect as it can be for you guys in the replay club, and helps with the newsletter, getting that out every month. So she really is an integral part to the team, and we're very glad to have her. So but if you have any questions, go to our discussion board, and Ruth will be there.
Get more CPC exam tips, coding certification training, and CEU credits. Go to www.codingcertification.org.